Continuing on with solving quadratic equations, we're going to go to method 2, which is what we call the square root method. Sometimes you'll hear me refer to this as the genius method. So let's go ahead and look at it. Remember, a quadratic equation is an equation equivalent to one of the form ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0, where a, b, and c are real numbers and a does not equal 0. We know a cannot be 0 because if it did, we would have a linear equation and not a quadratic equation. So now let's get into this method of solving by square roots. So we've got x squared minus 7 equals 0, and we want to solve this by square roots. Now, one of the different things about solving by square roots versus solving by factoring is that if you notice, we have no bx term. There is no middle term here. So it's going to make it a little bit easier for us to solve this. So to start, what we want to do is use our inverse operations to move that 7 to the other side. Since it's in minus 7, we're going to add 7 to both sides. That's going to leave us with x squared equals 7. Now, how do you get rid of a square? Well, you take the square root of it. So we're going to take the square root of both sides. And when we do that, that leaves us with x, because the square root of x squared is x. X equals plus or minus the square root of 7. So that would be our answer. Now, why is it a plus or minus? Anytime we take the square root, we've got the positive and the negative side. So now we know we're dealing with negative square root of 7 and positive square root of 7. That would be our solution set. All right. This next one looks a little bit more difficult, but it really is not. We've got x minus 4 quantity squared plus 9. We're going to start by using our inverse operations again. Let's go ahead and move that 9 to the other side. So that's going to leave us with x minus 4 squared equals 9. Now we're just going to take the square root of both sides. And that's going to leave me with x minus 4 equals plus or minus 3. Because the square root of 9 is 3. So now we're going to take that 4 to the other side. And we get x equals 4 plus or minus 3. So what does that plus or minus 3 mean? Well, exactly what it says. We have 4 plus 3, and we have 4 minus 3. So we know x equals 7, x equals 1. So our solution set then is 1 and 7. One last one to go over here. It doesn't really look any different than the last one. So let's go ahead and add that 24 to both sides. That's going to leave us with x minus 6 squared equals 24. And then we're going to go ahead and take the square root of both of those sides. And that's going to leave me with x minus 6 equals plus or minus the square root of 24. And then we're going to add that 6. So x is equal to 6 plus or minus the square root of 24. All right, now where this one is different is that square root of 24 is a square root that we actually can simplify. So we're going to come over here and we need to factor 24. So 24 is 6 and 4, which the square root of 4 is 2. So we know that we'll be able to simplify this down. For every pair we have, we can take 1 out of the square root. So we're looking at x equals 6 plus or minus 2 square roots of 6. Because we can't take the 2 or the 3 out of that square root. So our solution set now is 6 minus 2 square roots of 6 and 6 plus 2 square roots of 6. And that is as far as we can go with our solution set. All right, you have a good evening. Thanks. Bye.